Trigger warning. Viewing the following content may cause intellectual strain and swelling of logical capacity. If you suffer from perpetual rectal discomfort, viewer discretion is advised.
For a lot of people, this isn't exactly what you would call one-sided. This happens both male and female, but this is predominantly a female phenomenon, right? And hypergamy is according to Wikipedia, colloquially referred to as dating up or marrying up, is a term used in social science for the act or practice of a person dating or marrying a spouse of higher caste, social status, or sexual capital than themselves. Now that I've given you that definition, what do you think that means, right? I'll repeat it, and then you give me what you think it means.
All right.
A term used in social science for the act or practice of a person dating or marrying a spouse of higher caste, social status,
Yeah.
or sexual capital than themselves.
Okay, so what I think of is pretty much a woman who is just getting married or dating somebody for their status and their money. They don't really care about the man himself or his feelings towards her. They just care about what he can give them.
Okay, that's a pretty reasonable guess.
In other words, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife.
Yeah, I would say that that accusation could certainly be leveled.
Yeah. Her man lost half his money.
But there's multiple levels to hypergamy, right?
Yeah.
There's financial hypergamy, which is when a person strictly looks for somebody who is of higher financial status.
Yeah.
Then there's sexual marketplace hypergamy, when somebody seeks out somebody who is clearly of a higher level of sexual attractiveness. Going back to like a traditional number scale, right? If you're a 5,
Yeah.
but you're chasing a 10,
yeah.
That's the concept of hypergamy. But it only usually happens one way and not the other, and that's because men and women, and this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people, but men and women are actually different.
Who knew? Yeah.
We're not the same.
Crazy.
Women will not, for the most part, date down, ever.
Yeah.
Men will. Men have no problem casually dating somebody who they deem to be below them physically or attractiveness, financially, whatever.
Yeah.
One night stands, friend with benefits, whatever the case may be. Men have no problem with that. Women, on the other hand, they flatly refuse to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and share a video that I found here. The creator is a channel called Wheat Waffles. I never heard of them. But when I saw this video, I want to make sure I give them credit. They'll also be linked down in the description below.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little bit of commentary on this too, to kind of highlight some things. But when I saw this, it really struck me because it really did kind of put it into a nice clear, concise way. The name of the video is "The 3 Tiers of Men." Which are you? And then, like I said, the creator is a channel named Wheat Waffles. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this now.
Anyway, I'm going to explain the main content of the video now, which is breaking down exactly how I believe each distinct group interacts with all of the others within the dating market. And I do want to warn you, there will be a lot of generalizations being made here. So before you think of any criticisms, at least see through these next 2 minutes so I can completely get my points across. Anyway, my first analysis is 1. The guys at the top of the pyramid, the so-called Chads, they have complete control over the whole of the top tier and mid-tier women. A lot of these guys aren't settling down as they have an abundance of both one-night stand options and friends with benefits coming from these 2 tiers.
All right, so for people who might just be listening to this and not watching the video,
Yeah.
what's on screen right now is there's 3 rows of pictures of men on the left and 3 rows of pictures of women on the right. The top of the screen is what the channel, the content creator labeled as sub 5, or basically below average.
Mm-hmm.
And the pictures are more or less what you would think of when you think of someone who appears physically below average in attractiveness.
Yeah.
The middle row, both men and women, are what he calls normies. These would be your 5s. These would be your 5 to 6s. These are just average people, nothing special, but nothing particularly negative. They just don't stand out, but they're not ugly, right? And again, there's both men and women.
Yeah.
And then the bottom row, this is what he calls, on the left, he calls them the Chads.
Yeah.
And then on the right, I'm not sure if he gives them a specific name, but they're basically, these are the top 10%. These are the people who have really attractive faces.
Yeah.
Right. And these are all face pics, right? So obviously that's all you're going to see. But they're people with attractive faces that clearly distinguish them from everybody else.
Yeah. So you got like Chris Hemsworth for the guys in the chat.
Yeah, like his level of picture, like that type of thing. So that's kind of the idea that he's going with. And what he just said is that, the top level guys basically have the top level girls and the mid level girls locked down.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of what he said so far. And basically you could understand, right?
Yeah.
Again, because of hypergamy, right? The top level women, they're going for the top level guys.
Oh yeah.
But also the middle women, right? Because women will always seek to date up.
Yeah.
Right? So they are also going for the top level guys.
Yeah.
And because men and women are different, the top level guys, if they're having a dry week, or if they're they're having a little bit of issues trying to land one of the top women, they'll just go ahead and spend time with one of the mid level women just to fill in the gaps. Let's see, what's the easiest way I could say this without being demonetized?
What, side chick?
No. If it's 2:45 in the morning and the bar closes at 3, and the only thing left in the bar is the average, kind of below average looking girl.
Yeah.
For most guys, it's better to take her somewhere and entertain her.
Yeah, you'd be like, hey, what the hell?
Than to go home and entertain himself.
Yeah, right.
Okay? On the other hand, he will be very unlikely to ever admit that he did that to any of his friends.
Yeah.
But in his own mind, he will, well, okay. So that's more or less what he's talked about so far. So let's see what else he has to say.
I also want to point out that most of these options are sourced from online dating apps. If you haven't realised by now, it is these top 10 to 15% guys who are hoarding all the matches on Tinder. 2. For the women in these 2 tiers, especially the mid-tier, in return for what they're giving out, they are demanding relationships and commitment from these top-tier guys. However, the majority of these men are choosing not to cooperate as they don't want to settle with anyone below their level. 3. A minor caveat to this though is a fair amount of the top tier guys are happy and okay with getting in a long-term relationship with the highest value women. 4.
All right, so that goes back to what I was saying about hypergamy, right?
Yeah.
Women always look to date up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the mid-tier women want to have relationships with the top-tier men.
Yeah.
They'd love that, right? Because that's like they couldn't hope to get any better than that. But top-tier men, on the other hand, they're just not interested. They have so many options available to them. They, under no circumstance, have to settle for a mid-tier woman when they have access to top-tier women.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And the difference is top-tier men will lower themselves for an intimate relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but they won't lower themselves for an emotional relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So they'll hook up, they'll smash, they'll say whatever they got to say
Mm-hmm.
to maintain that casual, friends with benefits situation or the ONS situation. But as far as like going in public
Yeah.
and like, yeah, this is my girl,
No,
no, that
that's
ain't
not
gonna
happening.
happen for the top tier guys.
Yeah.
And of course, this has ripples and implications for everybody else. So let's see what else he has to say.
The women in the middle's unremitting desire to lock down a Chad has a knock-on effect for the mid-tier average normie guys. Because in order for a woman in the middle to maintain her availability, it means she has to temporarily friend zone any non-Chad guys that approach her. Which again, if you haven't realised by now, friend zoning is effectively the woman wanting to keep you in the background as an orbiter in case she starts running out of time and thinks she may miss out on her plans of wanting to start a family, in which case she can simply pluck you from orbit whenever she feels necessary.
He says, "Pluck you from orbit."
I mean, the way he says it is funny, but in 2023, a large percent of women have what's referred to as a roster,
Yeah.
right? But more importantly, they have one man for a particular function in their life. They have the guy that's their friend, the guy that they cry to, the guy that they complain about the other guys to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the guy they use for money, right? So he's the one that pays for all the stuff. Then they have the guy that they don't actually like all that much, but who they love for sex. So they keep him around for that, but don't actually want to like date him, right? And every function that they need of a man, there's a guy for that. There's the guy that comes over and fixes their stuff when it breaks,
Yeah.
right? So think of, what used to be the role of one man
Yeah. Right.
back in the day, because, and let's face it, in 2023, one man usually doesn't have the capacity to be all of those things anymore
Yeah.
because they've had their masculinity beat out of them over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have, 5, 7, 8 guys in their circle, each to fill a specific role that used to be all filled by that one guy.
Yeah.
So when he says beta orbiters, that's just like that defines it to a T. Because, when people say alphas and betas, a lot of people try to make it seem like it's, oh, you're like this super badass guy, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
no. My understanding, right? Me as a Gen Xer, an alpha male is a guy who is capable of handling whatever's thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to build a space shuttle. It doesn't mean that if your house is on fire, that you can single-handedly put it out. What it does mean is that as a man, you have a working and basic understanding of every system in your home,
Yeah.
right? Electrical, plumbing, the framing, everything, right? You as a man should be able to do at least entry-level maintenance on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Doesn't matter what it is. Your cars, your house, whatever it is, you should be able to have the knowledge. And if you don't have the knowledge, have the intelligence to be able to learn the skills so that you can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Not pay somebody.
But in today's day and age, having all of that knowledge and skill is considered old fashioned. Oh, you don't need to do that, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, in today's day and age, it's considered old-fashioned to know how to cook.
And then you wonder why, all these people your generation are going broke because a lot of you don't actually know how to do anything. So you have to pay people to do it all for you.
Yeah.
But let's see what else he has to say.
5. In the meantime, these normie tier men become desperate for the women who are rejecting them on their level, end up settling for the friend zone, for which they then become a source of emotional support, favours, and basically a shoulder to cry on. 6. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, market force, both normies and sub 5 guys ferociously simp over the top tier women. And in return, these women give a grand total of nothing back. Because after all, that is the very definition of simping. A man mindlessly wasting his energy and resources on a woman for absolutely nothing in return that will benefit him. 7. A surprisingly large number of the normie tier guys, out of pure desperation, lower themselves to trying with the women at the very bottom for one night stands and casual intimacy. And the only reason they do this is because they've ruthlessly tried everywhere else and got no results. 8. These low-tier women in response become resentful of average guys for not wanting to commit to them. 9. I find this one the most hilarious. Women of all levels give the same treatment to sub-5 men, which is emotional reactions of disgust, pity, and abhorrence if any of these guys interact with their lives in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, basically what they're saying is, and just to put this in terms that somebody in your generation can understand, it doesn't necessarily matter what you say to a woman when you approach her for the first time. Her reaction to you is going to be based almost entirely on how you look.
Yeah.
Right? You could be the smoothest talker and like have the slickest lines, but if you look like a troll, you're done. You're not going to get nowhere, right? And at the same time, right? If you are like Chris Hemsworth look, like that Adonis.
Oh, yeah, and you could
Greek
be as dumb as a rock.
right? You can walk up to a chick and literally tell her, like, are you DTF? And
Yeah,
that's it, right? Like, you
Yeah.
just be as blunt like that, and they'll look at you, and chances are,
Yeah,
okay,
100%.
let's go. It's just so sad, but it also serves a nice point, right? Because realizing that today's dating is largely done online, right?
Mhm.
And I'm gonna cut this short because this guy's video is probably got another 5 minutes to it, and there's a lot there.
If
But
you guys want to check it out, we leave it in the description. Go check this video out.
I'm gonna show you something here. It's something else that really stood out to me, right? It's a reference to Tinder, right, which is one of the leading dating apps.
Yeah.
Your generation in particular is something else, right?
Something else.
This is on Maze of Love, right? Tinder statistics in 2023. It's the latest users and swipe data.
Yeah.
Now, here's what really, really stuck out to me, right? Tinder has 71.1 million users worldwide, with over 50% being Gen Z.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Half of Tinder's user base is Gen Z, right? Now, okay, you remember when he said that a lot of people who are in the sub 5 just get dumped on by everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the question to you. Now, obviously you're a little bit young for this,
Yeah.
but with half of Tinder's user base being Gen Z, how do you think that's affected dating for you guys, for your generation? And again, I understand that you
Well,
being 15, you have
yeah.
limited window of understanding.
It's definitely put them in like a very specific range of the certain types of people who want to date. Because first off, yes, dating is mostly online, but people my age who do use Tinder are gonna match with people who are in very close in their age range, and or probably not the smartest people. First off, because they are young. Second off, because they are my generation. So yeah, as well as though my generation, they're very picky. They're gonna swipe left on anything that doesn't look appealing physically to them. They don't have to even read someone's bio or whatever. If they don't like what they see, they'll just swipe. So yeah, it's definitely got to affect it in that way since it's mostly online as well.
Yeah. Well, okay, now that you brought that up, you said that most of your generation would swipe left.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break that down. What's your gut instinct? What do you think is, the people who swipe left in the male group?
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of the matches they get do they swipe left on?
I would say like at a minimum, I would say like 45% they probably swipe left on.
All right, so that would mean that they swipe right on roughly 55%.
Yeah.
All right, what about women? What do you think women
I
do?
would put women to 65, 70. They swipe left.
So,
I would put, I'll be fair. I'll put 60% they swipe left.
so 60% left and 40% they swipe right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this does it gives more active more statistics on active users and stuff like that. But the one that really kind of hit me right between the eyes, which really just it was crazy. The median match rate for women on Tinder is 36%, and for men, 1.8%.
Wow.
Okay, now let's put that even further into clarification.
Yeah.
Daily likes, that means swiping right. The percentage of men that swipe right every day is 53%. The percentage of females that swipe right every day is 5.
Wow. Wow, that's ridiculous.
Swipe lefts. The number of times that women swipe left is 95%.
Yeah, jeez.
So out of all the pictures they see, they only swipe right 1 out of 20.
That's ridiculous.
And the daily passes for men is 47%.
I mean, yeah, that's ridiculous. With 70 million people being on Tinder, 50% of them being Gen Z, there is no way there's that many like people who are just like ugly or whatever that there's that many women swiping left.
Okay, but go back to what we talked about. Hypergamy. Okay, women will actively seek to date up for financial reasons and for
the looks.
Sexual marketplace value.
Yeah.
Right? And like this video showed, the side effect of that has been that a lot of people are just not connecting.
Yeah.
You have the bottom tier women, which are resentful because the best they could do is middle tier guys. The middle tier women are resentful because while they can have sex with the top tier guys, they can't get relationships out of them.
Yeah.
And the top tier women are sitting pretty, so to speak, because they get the top tier guys. They get all the attention from all the guys.
Yeah.
So they can, basically take advantage of whoever they want.
Yeah, they just take advantage of that. They don't settle with anybody.
They even have new terms like foodie calls. In my generation, it was called a booty call. But no, apparently now it's a foodie call.
That's ridiculous.
So when you play a guy for no other reason other than to get him to take you out and spend money on you to buy you food, which is terrible. Like you're literally using somebody for money.
Yeah.
You don't like
and
him.
You cannot name that any other way. I mean, there's no other way to name that you're literally using someone for money.
You don't like him. You have no intentions of dating him. You're not going to do anything for him. And you're just using him for food. Right? So that's disgusting.